Endgame Sanji will be an absolute monster. Also, this video has manga spoilers, but this one doesn't. Ever since post time skip, it's felt like Sanji has gotten the short end of the stick in terms of power. And I know some of you are gonna object and say everything that's happened to Sanji makes sense and is good for his character, but in terms of just badass Sanji moments versus sad-ass Sanji moments, it's been a bit uneven recently. People pushing toxic agendas have amplified that even more, to the point where a lot of people are ready to kick Sanji out of the monster trio. But today I want to talk about why there's nothing to worry about for Sanji fans, because endgame Sanji will be a lot stronger than most people think. And to prove that in this video, we'll be looking at how strong Sanji is currently, what potential power-ups he could get in the future, and the max potential of just how strong Sanji can be by the end of One Piece. But to find that out, you need to be part of the King Pirates crew, so I need you to go down below and diable jambe that subscribe button. But let's start by talking about the current Sanji, who's finally starting to show out in Onigashima. I feel like it's almost kind of surreal that we're actually seeing in Sanji in such a high level fight because it's been so long. I still feel like I haven't fully processed that the Straw Hats just took down the Toby Roppo. But that's what these discussions are for. It allows us to take a step back and really just analyze and break everything down. And for Sanji, even though it's been really quick skirmishes and glimpses, we're starting to see that he's a lot stronger than he seemed. Not only is he very capable just in his base form, but even more so in the raid suit. Obviously, he still has a lot more to showcase. I don't think he's shown close to what he's fully capable of yet. But even already with the small amount that we've seen, it's far beyond anything we've seen from Sanji before. Like I mentioned, post time skip, there's been a lot more sad-ass Sanji moments, and it's felt like he's been used a lot as a punching bag. The leg cracking against Virgo, him getting beat up by Doflamingo, Black Maria literally using him as a punching bag. And again, I get that those are special circumstances and they all made sense within the scenario, but also I just gave 3 straight examples of Sanji getting beat up. At some point, it's like, give my guy a break. I guess technically Virgo did. But yeah, personally, even as somebody that's not super into power scaling, I do think that post time skip, there hasn't been a great balance of showcasing Sanji's power. Like if Sanji had just as many moments of being badass and being clutch Mr. Prince, I don't think people would have complained. So those are just kind of my thoughts on how Sanji has been showcased and utilized post time skip. But now in Onigashima, we're actually seeing Sanji fight to his full abilities, and he's proven that he's a lot stronger than what he's shown, especially now that he has the raid suit. Even before this queen fight, we got to see the raid suit in action against page 1, and I think although the raid suit hasn't been utilized very much, it's already proving to be a major boost for Sanji's power. His durability is no joke. Not only has he pointed that out multiple times himself, but he also tanked a hit from King. That didn't seem too impressive in the moment because King hadn't really shown off his powers yet and people were still underestimating him. But now we're actually seeing him in action against Zoro and getting reminded that he's the top commander of Kaido. So I think that moment where Sanji tanked a hit from King has proven to be a lot more impressive than many people thought it was. And please don't make this about Zoro and Sanji, I'm just making a comparison. The main point I want to emphasize is that the raid suit is already proving to be a massive upgrade for Sanji with his durability and invisibility powers, and we haven't really seen Sanji use it to its full potential with his speed and flying ability. We kinda got a glimpse of it against page 1, but we really need to see Sanji go all out with it, utilizing his own speed as well. Because let's not forget, Sanji was incredibly fast already and knew how to use Skywalk. So yeah, I think the raid suit has a lot more potential to make Sanji stronger that we just haven't seen, but also let's give Sanji some credit here as well. He's now kinda held his own against 2 Yonko commanders, first clashing with King and now with Queen, and in the fight against Queen, he hasn't used his raid suit at all, proving that he's strong without it. So I think Sanji has definitely shown that he's a lot stronger than we thought, but at the same time, I don't want to overreact either, because right now I still don't think current Sanji is strong enough to defeat Queen. Let's not forget, Queen is also a Yonko commander with a 1.32 billion bounty, and just last arc we saw Luffy fighting over 10 hours against people of similar abilities. So although I think Sanji has proven to be a lot stronger than we thought, his growth in this fight against Queen is really what's gonna kickstart his rapid progression towards his endgame strength. So with that being said, let's talk about Sanji's potential and how he can get stronger, and the first thing we have to talk about is the Germa stuff. In recent chapters, Sanji has seemingly activated his Germa genes, giving him the same hard exoskeleton as his siblings. And first off, I gotta admit, the exoskeleton is a lot stronger than I thought it would be. I didn't think it was gonna be that big of a deal, but he just tanked that sword hit from Queen like it was nothing, so that was pretty impressive. But at the same time, this exoskeleton ability is probably just the beginning of what's possible for Sanji, because as we saw with his siblings, things like the hard exoskeleton and enhanced strength are really just some good attribute boosts. But what really makes them strong are their own innate abilities like Reiju's Poison Pink. So for Sanji, if he's really activated his Germa abilities, then he should also have an innate ability just like his siblings. And right now, everybody's #1 guess for Sanji is his ability to use fire. Till recently, most of us just bought Oda's explanation that Sanji has some strong passion that he could ignite unite himself, because why not anime logic? But now that it's been confirmed that Sanji has activated his Germa abilities, it seems very possible that the real explanation behind Sanji's fire powers is because of his Germa lineage. And of course there was that conversation with Queen where it was hinted that Sanji might have Lunarian genes within him, but right now I'm personally not fully convinced that Sanji's power is fire. I'm gonna need a little more evidence than just that one line of dialogue. And the main things that's been holding me back are, first off, fire has been a pretty common ability used in the story, like Luffy with Red Hawk, so it's already been shown in the story that you could generate fire with your attacks without being a Lunarian just by using friction and speed. And even the first time Sanji used Diable Jambe, it wasn't like he just generated fire out of thin air. He created a fire seemingly through spinning a lot and using friction. But besides that, the biggest thing for me is that Judge never reacted to Sanji's fire abilities. Back in Whole Cake Island, there were two instances where Judge saw Sanji use fire abilities. The first time Sanji used it directly against him and Judge had zero reaction, and then there was the second time where Sanji was using fire standing on top of the table, and at that point Judge was kind of just freaking out because he almost died. So in my opinion, it seems like Judge did not really react to Sanji's fire abilities at all. And if fire is the innate ability Sanji got through like the lineage factor, you would think that Judge would know about it and react to it when he saw it. Now I guess it could have been just him being petty or being in denial, but I feel like he would have been at least a little surprised and a little shocked. So because of that, I'm not really fully sold that fire is Sanji's Germa ability, which honestly might be even more interesting because he could have another ability coming to him soon. If we look at his siblings' abilities, you have poison, wind, electricity, and lasers. I'm honestly having a tough time thinking of another innate ability that Sanji could get. My first thought went to Avatar and I thought about water or earth, but neither of those will really make sense. One of them will make Sanji OP against Devil Fruit users and the other one kind of turns him into Korg. So I don't really have a confident guess at what this innate ability could be for Sanji, but it is important to remember that whatever it is, it does have to go hand in hand with his raid suit. Because as we saw with the rest of the Germa, the raid suit really amplified their powers. Now Sanji's power is invisibility, but I don't really know what that complements. Some people have suggested that Sanji might be able to go invisible without using the raid suit, but that kind of just defeats the purpose of the raid suit. So honestly, I'm not really sure what this innate ability could be for Sanji. If you guys have any good guesses, definitely let me know in the comments. And who knows, maybe his ability is simply fire and he could just make bigger flames or turn it into black flames or something dope like that. Either way, the raid suit is going to be even more valuable to Sanji as he develops his Germa abilities, but I also don't want to just focus on the raid suit and Sanji's Germa abilities because I think he could get stronger in other ways as well. I've seen that some people didn't love that Sanji got these Germa abilities because they feel like it's kind of like an empty power-up. Even with somebody like Frankie or Usopp, they're making the equipment and technology themselves. But personally, I still don't have a big issue with it because I still want to see how this fight plays out. Because in this fight against Queen, I think Sanji will get stronger Haki as well. Now when it comes to Haki, his specialty is obviously observation Haki, which he's very good at already. The best example of that was when he dodged an attack from Katakuri. But while I think Sanji will get a chance to show off his observation Haki in this fight against Queen, I actually don't think he's gonna improve it much. Queen has really showcased two really strong aspects when it comes to his power. First off, he has a lot of powerful technology and inventions with how he altered his body and the viruses, but also the guy's an absolute brick house. His durability is insane. He's straight up tanked a hit from Big Mom. So for Sanji to win this battle, he's gonna have to showcase some really strong attack power, and I think part of that has to come from armament Haki. And I think it's fair to say that so far in the story, Sanji hasn't shown that he has top-notch armament Haki. I'm not gonna say he doesn't have great armament Haki because after seeing Frankie and Robin just dust the Toby Roppo, I'm definitely not gonna underestimate the Straw Hats, but Sanji just hasn't shown that he has a high level of armament Haki. So that could be something he shows off in this fight against Queen, that he has a higher level of armament Haki, and that combined with his Germa abilities could be enough to defeat Queen. Or maybe his armament Haki is a little lacking and he has to really be challenged and bloom his Haki to defeat Queen. But one way or another, I think in this fight against Queen, Sanji will showcase an impressive level of armament Haki. And doesn't need to be at like a crazy level like Rio and what Luffy's doing. It just needs to be strong enough where combined with his other abilities, he's really strong. But at the end of the day, this Queen fight is really just the start of Sanji's rapid growth. Because with his Germa abilities activated, the raid suit, and his own potential, he's got the foundation set to rapidly progress to become a monster by the end of the story. To start off, I think his observation will eventually take another step forward because it is his specialty. A lot of people believe Future Sight is the next step in the progression for Sanji's observation Haki, and while I didn't love the idea at first because it's kind of just the same ability that Luffy has, the idea has definitely grown on me because I think we're starting to see like the pinnacles of each Haki. Like we're seeing how Rio is used with armament Haki, the Sky Split splitting because of Conqueror's Haki, and I think it's very possible that Future Sight is just the pinnacle of observation Haki. So that could be the level that Sanji reaches next, and I think it would be a dope power up for him, but I'll also be down to see other ways observation Haki could be improved. Like we know that expanded range is another way to improve observation Haki, which Kobe and Nell have at a very high level. So Sanji could end up going that route, or it could be something completely different like reading people's emotions, which Sanji is really good at. One way or another, I expect by the end of the story, Sanji will have one of the best observation Hakis in the story. I mentioned in another video that I eventually wanted to see the monster trio versus Admiral, specifically Sanji versus Kizaru, and with Kizaru being so fast, that's when Sanji's observation Haki will really come in handy. So if that fight goes down, that could be when Sanji improves his observation Haki. Armament Haki on the other hand, it's really not his specialty, so I don't think he needs to reach like an insanely high level of it, because he does have these other abilities that kind of go along and complement it. So honestly, he just needs to get it to a pretty respectable level. And then there's a question if Sanji is gonna get Conqueror's Haki, which is a question I get all the time in the comments and live streams. And personally, I would love to see it. I think it would be dope for Sanji to get it and another Straw Hat to have Conqueror's Haki. And you could kind of easily tie that into the theme of him being a prince and like the only successful Germa project, where like he was seen as a failure by his family, but he was actually like the only person with Conqueror's Haki this whole time. But if I gotta be honest, I wouldn't bet my money on Sanji getting Conqueror's Haki. At the end of the day, I really don't think he needs it, and it's not essential to his storyline. What he really cares about are women and cooking good food. He doesn't have like that same type of ambition of wanting to become Pirate King or the strongest swordsman, so I don't think Sanji's character necessarily needs it. So as far as Conqueror's Haki goes, while I think it would be dope if Sanji got it, I don't think he's gonna get it. But beyond Haki, the rest of Sanji's power-ups are obviously gonna come from his Germa abilities and the raid suit. But not only do I see Sanji getting stronger with his abilities, but also I can see improvements for the raid suit. One thing I've been pushing for a long time is Vegapunk coming to Wano. If you want to see a full breakdown on that, you can check out this video. But even if Vegapunk doesn't come to Wano, I think eventually he's gonna meet up with the Straw Hats and he probably will help them. And if he does turn out to be an ally, he's the smartest person in the world, so he could definitely make some upgrades to Sanji's raid suit. Also, side note, I'm dying to see Frankie and Usopp make some physical changes to the raid suit. Don't get me wrong, the raid suit looks pretty cool, but it just doesn't fit Sanji completely. He recently got rid of the glasses, but there's still the mask, and his hairstyle just doesn't work as well. The fact that it's called a raid suit and Sanji wears suits all the time, I think he can make it where it kind of looks like an actual suit. Honestly, I'm low-key more excited for physical changes than actual power improvements for the raid suit. But yeah, for raid suit, I do expect it to get some improvements at some point, and Sanji will obviously get stronger as he gets used to it. And whatever Sanji's innate Germa ability is, I'm expecting he can grow that and make that stronger as well. By the end of the story, he could be creating some massive fires, or maybe even just kicking off fireballs as projectiles. One thing I know a lot of people wanted to see is Sanji learning Tempest Kick, because Sanji doesn't really have any sort of like projectile attack. Maybe if fire is his innate ability, he could figure out a way to do that. And if you combine those abilities with his Haki improvements, like I said, endgame Sanji will be an absolute monster. Heads or tails, if you guess it wrong, you have to like, subscribe, and watch that video.
Whoa, God.
It's tails.